Hello, my name's John Zerby with Anti-Aging by Design. I'd like to talk to you about training your brain to change your life. If you're like most of us, you have stresses, anxieties, worries. And if you do, we know your brain is functioning. It's functioning in a survival mode. We have two modes. We have the growth mode and we have the survival mode. Problem is if it's in the survival mode too much, or it seems like all the time, and it becomes chronic, then you do have a problem. This is a reason why researchers say 90% of the visits to doctors is because of stress and anxiety. This presentation is about gaining more knowledge about how your brain functions and the need to take control of your brain. The brain has many tools to help us to cope with life. But even in the survival mode, the brain uses a tool called the Gatekeeper. Let me demonstrate it. If I said to you, the sky is a beautiful shade of green and the grass is blue. Yep, that's the Gatekeeper saying, no, it's not. It's there for our survival. We get a stupid idea. The Gatekeeper saying, no, 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 that will hurt you. You can't do that. So we have these tools in our brain. On the other side, another mode, the growth mode, we have a tool called visualization. And if you would stand, I'd like to demonstrate that to you too. So if you stand now, I'd like to demonstrate a tool that is supportive of what you are capable of. You do have the potential to achieve extraordinary things in your life, and this is one of the tools that can help you. So please watch and listen to me first. I'll demonstrate this, and when I'm finished, I'll have you do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift my arm with my pointer finger sticking out. Then I'm going to turn as far as I can to my right until I can go as far as I can, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to look and mark that spot and see where I'm at. Then I'm going to turn back around to where I began. Now I'd like for you to raise your arm all together, and with your pointer finger sticking out, turn as far as you can to what's comfortable. Mark that spot, then come back to the beginning again. Okay, now what I'd like for you to do is close your eyes. We're going to use this visualization tool to do the same thing, but only in your mind. Don't lift your arm physically, but in your mind, lift your arm, point your finger, and turn. And what I want you to do is go 1 foot beyond where you were. 1 foot beyond. And after you've done that, then come back to the middle again. Okay. Now close your eyes again. You go lift your arm, have your pointer finger out, and this time you're going to go 2 feet beyond the 1 foot that you had gone. So really 3 feet you're going to go beyond the original point. So I want you to turn. You're going 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet beyond where you were. Then come back to the middle again. Okay, now that was using visualization. Now we're actually going to have you physically raise your arm, have your pointer finger sticking out. Now turn, see how far you can go. You're going past your point. Now 1 foot beyond, and keep going. Okay, and then come back to the middle. Now it should have created a wow, because you realize using visualization how much further you went and also how much more capable you are of performing things that you didn't think you were able to. Your potential is extremely high, and you need to realize you can achieve so much more. Now, a little knowledge of visualization gives you power, and combined with action, that action empowers you to achieve your goals. Knowledge is important, and the need to know what the problems are necessary in order for us to know what action to take, and know that the action that you take then empowers you to again achieve your goals and dreams. I wanted to explain an experiment done by a Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist. The experiment explains how, again, that you are in control of your life, and does it from a biological perspective. Dr. Bruce took an original petri dish, put a cell in it, it multiplied several times, and then what he did, he took another petri dish, took some of those cells, put it into dish number 1, and he changed the culture that they were in. The culture is the liquid that it's in, and those cells became bone cells. Then he took another petri dish, he put some cells in it from the original petri dish, and that second petri dish became muscle cells because he changed the culture again. He took a third petri dish, took some cells from the original dish, put them into the third dish, and changed the culture again, and those cells became fat cells. And Dr. Lipton said, oh, wow, our old research on this was that the DNA or genetics of the original cells should have been passed to the other cells because they're all siblings. But in this case, what he had done was he changed the culture that they were in from the original petri dish culture, and they all became different cells. So his theory was that we are not victims of our genetics or of our genes or DNA. Just because granddad had cancer and his son had cancer doesn't mean the grandson's going to have cancer. And just because grandma had a heart genetic problem doesn't mean her daughter and her granddaughter are going to have heart genetic problems. So this was outstanding research, and Lipton basically was saying that our old research was not true, and that the Petri dish experiment proved that. Dr. Lipton, basically his conclusion was, if you change the culture, the liquid, in our case the blood that our cells are in, you change the cells. It's so important for us to know that we are in control of our health. We are in control of how our DNA affects us. And as Bruce was a chemist, by changing the culture, we, through our brains, we act as the chemist. And for this reason, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to know how the brain functions. How do I control my brain? Because that is the secret to controlling your health and your wealth. And this is the reason cells put into a negative culture with negative thoughts or toxins or trauma, stress, and anxiety, they send a signal, and especially if we have poor nutrition, that signal is sent to our brain, and the brain sends that signal to our cells. And if it's negative, it's going to affect the behavior of our cells in a negative way, which produces diseases. Now, another area that we do have control of, although let's take a look at some of the facts on thoughts. We have over 60,000 thoughts per day. Our brain's rather cluttered. 98% of those thoughts are repeated, researchers say, from the day before. So we are creatures of habit. And 70% of those thoughts are considered ants, automatic negative thoughts. So as you can read this on the slide, really we can't afford to have a negative thought. Our thoughts can turn us into a healthy person or an unhealthy person. We become healthy by having the parasympathetic system turned on with positive thoughts. These positive thoughts produce growth hormones, and that is especially important because what it does, it turns on our immune system, and it also builds and grows cells. We need this system most of the time since it replaces 1 billion cells we lose each day. And it also turns on the immune system to fight off 10,000 abnormal cells each day, which would build up if left alone. On the other hand, if we have a negative thought, especially repeated over and over again, that ignites the sympathetic nervous system. This stress response turns on the stress hormones. And no human being can have stress or anxiety all the time without getting sick. The stress hormones also turn off the immune system, used to fight off illness. And it also stops the growth of new cells. We can even become addicted to the hormones of stress. Now, we may need them to fight off a mugger or run away from a vicious dog, but how often does that happen? Rarely. So you can see with 60,000 thoughts a day, those thoughts can produce either growth hormones or stress hormones and dramatically affect our health. But relax, we do have relaxation programming tools. We list a few here. I'm sure there's a lot more out there, a lot that maybe you could add to this. So it's not necessary to have negative thoughts, having knowledge about certain tools that would work to keep us from going into a survival mode all the time. These tools are considered to be what they call interrupters. They interrupt negative thoughts, and they prevent the stress hormone from being released. Now we have one brain, but we have two minds. We have the conscious mind, we have the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is a wonderful gem. It helps us plan, set goals. We can use our imagination, come up with ideas, make decisions. It's much like the captain of a ship. He's planning on how to get from destination A to destination B, what's the best way. So he has a lot of tasks to do and goals to set to do that, and he makes a lot of decisions on the way. The only problem with the conscious mind is the fact that it's limited. Like I said, the conscious mind is limited when you compare it to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful than the conscious mind. You might think of the subconscious mind as crew members. They have manuals, they have programs that they go by to run that ship, and they can't be taken from those programs. That's their whole role. That's what they use to help the captain get from destination A to destination B, and they never want to detract from that. Now, I'm sure you remember how many thoughts we have today per day. Well, that's 60,000 plus. Well, when the captain is thinking, when the conscious mind is thinking, who's controlling the ship? It's the subconscious mind controlling the ship. And when did the subconscious mind get those programs, those manuals to control the ship? Well, comparing the crew to us, to our subconscious mind, we got programs put into our subconscious, especially from conception to 7 years old. If you observe a child between that time span, they're almost like in a hypnotic trance. It's like them playing a video camera, observing the behavior of their father, their mother, their siblings, their relatives. That observed behavior then is downloaded into the subconscious, into a database. The problem is that 70% of that download are programs that are non-supportive and limiting to ideas and beliefs that we have later on in life. And as I said, when the conscious mind is thinking, and that's 95% of the time, conscious mind's thinking, the subconscious is taking over. So any of those programs, the 70% that are negative and the 30% that are positive, those are the programs that are running in our brain. On the slide in front of you, you'll see some of those negative programs that are we downloaded as kids. You'll never be an athlete. You don't try. You're too lazy. You'll never get a decent job. These programs limit us later on in life and prevent us from succeeding and getting what we want. For instance, if you interview people coming out of an amusement park, say Disneyland, you interview the kids and ask them, how did you enjoy the park? They said, oh, it was great. I loved those rides. We had so much fun. Hey, Dad, when are we coming back again? You turn around and interview the adults. Most adults are saying, oh, the lines were too long. The food was expensive. It's so hot. So you wonder then, is this a happy place or is this a place out of hell? It's sort of like asking someone to empty the toothpaste out of a tube of toothpaste and then asking them to put it back in. When we're young like that and we get these programs, it's hard to get rid of them. But there is a way to do that. Now, besides negative programs in our subconscious, along comes our old friend the Gatekeeper, using emotions like anxiety, doubt, fear, and worry to just stop us in our tracks. For instance, Uncle Bob gets a great business idea, but he does not have any positive programs in his subconscious to support those ideas. And if subconscious mind and the conscious mind are not in alignment with each other, then nothing he learns, nothing he hears, and nothing he does will allow that idea to become a prosperous reality. On the other hand, if his idea and positive programs are in his subconscious and they are in alignment, then nothing, absolutely nothing, will stop him. All the more reason for placing positive programs into our children and replacing and reprogramming negative programs in our own subconscious with positive programs. Now, to help get the conscious and subconscious in alignment with each other, it's important for us to understand how the conscious and subconscious learn. As you can see from the diagram, the conscious mind can be easily educated by workshops, reading, videos, even just sharing ideas, and several other ways too. The subconscious does not learn as the conscious mind does. It uses its own unique set of tools to learn, as indicated in this slide. I'm sure, though, you can discover many more too. Now, we found the researchers do have techniques to change negative programs in your subconscious. The first thing you need to do is to observe and determine what program you wish to eliminate from your subconscious. Next, determine and write down on a card what you would like to replace it with. And one of the easiest ways, perhaps not the quickest because it would need some repetition over a period of days, is to 5 minutes before you fall asleep, you're in the theta brainwave stage. And in that theta stage, you are able to, and this is very important, you are able to bypass the gatekeeper. And by doing that, you are able to reprogram a negative program with a positive program. What you do is say what is on your card and visualize it actually happening. Remember how we talked about visualization earlier when I first started the presentation? It would allow you to go beyond where you felt comfortable with your index finger, while visualization can also help you implement that positive program in your subconscious. The second time you're able to do this is repeat that same affirmation, that same program you have written on your card. Repeat it again as soon as you awaken in the morning. This is another time when you can bypass the gatekeeper because you're in the theta stage. For example, if you want a health program in your subconscious, you could say, I am healthy, my body heals and repairs itself. As you can see from this slide, these would be some amazing programs to give your children between conception, say 7 and 8 years old. These would be very supportive programs later on when they make decisions in their life and when they try to obtain their goals and desires and wants. Now, what I listed here was some of the researchers that I researched. They provide a lot of ideas and a lot of ways you can help you change your thoughts and also change the programs that are in your brain. And what my wife Vicki and I came up with was the fact that the secrets to your health and wealth is that you need to train your body, need to train your brain, and you need to train in nutrition. Something to keep in mind is the fact that you are unique. The chances of you being born to the parents you have, to have the specific DNA structure that you have, at this exact time in history, that's 1 in 400 trillion chances of that. Wow. Also keep in mind, you are capable of so much more. You are in control of your life. You can create a mindset for great health, abundant wealth, great happiness. In fact, anything you desire. And so at this time, I'd like to thank you for attending, and to learn more about training your brain, including the tools we mentioned, visit us at antiagingbydesign.com/train.